Good afternoon, all my beauty professionals. Today, I want to talk to you about developers, bleach, and how it affects the hair. And I also want to go over a little bit about how important consultations are when you are deciding to do highlighting on someone's hair or bleaching someone's hair. The things that you want to ask your clients and what you want to discuss before you actually put the chemical on the hair. Before we get started, I want to thank all of you who are subscribing to my channel. Thank you so much for your beautiful, encouraging comments. Thank you for watching my videos, for sharing my videos. I know it's been a while, but I am planning on getting back on it. So with that being said, God bless you all, and let's get started. In this video, I want you to bear with me because I have a lot of information that I want to give to you. And if you're beginning, it can be overwhelming with this. Basically, I want to break down what a developer is, how it's used with hair color, but also how it's used with bleach. Also tell you the different levels of developers, what amount of lift you'll get from each developer. So my suggestion is, with all that information, if you need to pause, step away, let your brain soak it in, that's okay. Watch it, re-watch it, take notes if you need to. But this is all in preparation to help you understand when you're doing highlights or when you're applying bleach to someone's hair. It's not just as simple as it looks on the videos, on social media, where you're just kind of slapping it on someone's head. You really have to know what you're doing. I've said in prior videos before that bleach / lightener is probably one of the most strongest chemicals, along with relaxer, most damaging to the hair. And so when you're doing this service, you really want to spend at least 30 minutes on your consultation, at least. All right, so consultation, we said it should take at least 30 minutes. Honestly, it depends on what salon you're working in, but the really high quality or high-end salons may meet with the client the day prior to their actual service, which is really better. But if not, on the day of, at least reserve 30 minutes prior to the actual time of the appointment. What are some things you want to find out about your client before you decide to apply bleach to their hair? One is if they have any chemicals on their hair. And I have to tell you, in my experience over the years, a lot of times, not all the time, clients will not be honest because they want the service done. And my thing is this: the type of stylist that you want to be is up to you. Just know that your name is on the line each and every time you do a client. And that can be in a good way or that can be in a bad way. So you take the time, you do a consultation, and the truth is, most of us have that feeling inside when someone's not being truthful. So you kind of have to go to the next question, but always come back to that question. The question is, do you have any chemicals on your hair? And if so, when's the last time you had this done? What did you have done? Did you buy these chemicals yourself from the drugstore, or did you have it professionally done in the salon? There is a huge difference. For example, box color. A lot of box colors from the drugstore are known to be loaded with metallics. So in my years of experience, what I have seen, one is if they get highlights, I've seen where the color stayed on the hair and it didn't lift at all. And I'm talking after 45 minutes, and then they were sat under the dryer, and then you open the foils, nothing happened. The second thing I've seen, and this also goes for henna, because henna is known as a natural, I'm not sure, you guys, if it's a vegetable dye. I have to look that up again. But I know that it's loaded with metallics. So what I've seen over the years is, and I've mentioned this in prior videos, foils swell up, and when you open it, green smoke comes out. So you have to shampoo that out immediately. You have to get that out of the hair immediately, or it's going to melt off. So these are things that you want to ask prior to you doing that, because like I said, it can end up being a bad thing. And And maybe you're one of those risk takers, because there's some hairstylists that say, oh, I've been doing it this way for years, nothing's ever happened. And that's great. Just be mindful that you're playing a type of Russian roulette with your reputation and your career. So important. Second question I'm going to ask, aside from chemicals on their hair, and oh, also that includes perms too. I forgot to mention that, because you don't want to bleach relaxed hair. You can do a high lift tint, and we can talk about high lift tints in another video, but strongly suggest you do not do bleach on relaxed hair. I've seen that where it melted off. Just telling you. Those are two of the strongest chemicals, and when they're mixed together, and I've even had it happen to me when I was younger. I did a test strand, and I had relaxer on my hair at the time, and that hair came right off. So just a little thing out there. But secondly, what you want to know is, what is their desired level of lightness? And we want to determine what is their existing level of lightness and determine what undertones would be in that level of lightness. Now, undertones is something that I could talk to you about in another video. Right now, I just kind of want to keep it focused on consultation, developers, and lighteners and what it does to the hair, because I know I can talk and get off subject, so I don't want to do that. So find out whether they show you pictures or you look at the consultation book, you know, with the strips of lightness on the hair. The color book is what I'm trying to say. Oh God. So you can visually understand what that client is wanting, and then we want to know if we can. Next thing we want to do is we want to feel the texture of their hair, the density of their hair, and this is important because this will help you determine whether you're going to use on the scalp lightener, off the scalp lightener, what volume developer do you want to use. We want to find out what products are they using at home, because if they're just going to a basic drugstore to get their shampoos and their conditioners, we want to encourage them not to do that. Depending on the condition of their hair, then we'll determine if we can even do the service or not. But these are some of the things that you want to talk to your client about and find out prior to you doing any highlights. Because if their hair is very fine, you wouldn't want to use a 40 volume developer with an off the scalp lightener. You may want to use on the scalp lightener, and I'll tell you later in the video what is the difference between on the scalp, off the scalp lightener. I can't think of anything else as far as consultation goes. Those are your three main important things that you want to know. Now, if I missed something and you can think of something, please leave it in the comments section. It would be greatly appreciated. So now next we're going to talk about, all right guys, developers. A developer is known as an oxidizing agent. Another word, you could think of it as a catalyst. And so a catalyst is a chemical that helps another chemical to speed up with processing. So for example, in nails, the monomer is considered a catalyst when it touches the polymer, which is the powder, and it actually speeds up the process of the acrylic hardening or curing. Another example would be, oh my God, what is it called? The resin accelerator that you may use for a nail wrap system. Wrap resin accelerator. That's also known as a catalyst because when you spray it, it helps to speed up the drying process of the glue. So that is what developer does for hair color and for bleach. It's an oxidizing agent that when mixed with that color or with the lightener and you apply it to the hair, it releases oxygen into the hair and it helps to speed up the process. Now, it is not stronger than the color or the bleach. The bleach and the hair color is actually considered the alkaline product, and then developer is considered an acidic product where the pH is around about 2.5 to 5.5. Now, the most commonly used developers, and I'm assuming there's other types of developers out there, but the most common that we use in schools and salons is hydrogen peroxide. And so there's two types of those developers. You have liquid developer, and then you have the creamy. Now everybody has their own preference, so it's really up to you what you want to use, but usually when you're applying hair color in a tint bottle, it's better to use the liquid consistency developer for that. If you're applying color in the tint bowl with the tint brush, which lightener you would be, it's preferable to use the creamy developer only because of the consistency. So I was always taught a long time ago, developer is developer. It's not one is better than the other. It's one is a better consistency for the particular product that you're using. So if your hair color is more of a liquid consistency, it would make sense that you would use the clear liquid developer as opposed to the creamy. You can if you want to, if your salon ran out of liquid developer, but it's preferable that way. Not a requirement, preferable. So for you, I would suggest you try it for yourself and find out what you like. But this is the two different types. Now there's 4 main developers that you'll learn about in school that we work with in the salons usually, and they do go higher up. So there's developers I've seen personally. I know there's a beauty supply that sells 50 volume developer. I remember at one of the schools I worked at, someone had donated 120 volume developer. So you can imagine how fast you would have to be applying your highlights using 120 volume developer. But there's 10 volume, 20 volume, 30 volume, and 40 volume. So with 10 volume, especially with hair color, basically it's opening up the cuticle and you will get up to 1 level of lift. So we don't guarantee that you're going to get that 1 level, but we can look forward to maybe, most likely, it's going to be up to 1 level of lift depending on texture, density, and all of this stuff. 20 volume is the most common one that we use in salons for hair color, especially if the client is gray. So you wouldn't want to use 10. 10 volume with hair color is deposit only. If it's with lightener, 10 volume, you're going to get lift, but it's going to take a little longer. It's going to take a lot longer with 10 volume, unless their hair is fine. So that would be the solution to doing highlights on someone with fine hair, you would use 10 volume. But 20 volume developer, you get up to 2 levels of lift, and this is with hair color. With lightener, you'll get a more speedy processing, lifting with the lightener. And I think I said this, but 20 volume you always use with gray hair. 10 volume you would not use because you would not get the coverage. 30 and 40 volume you will not get the coverage. The color will appear transparent so you could still see the grays. So just remember that. 30 volume developer, you're going to get up to 3 levels of lift. This is with hair color. And 40, you're going to get up to 4 levels of lift. Now with lightener, and I hope I'm not confusing you, when you're using the developers, think of it as the timing wise. 10 volume you would use on finer hair, no stronger than 20 volume really, because you don't want to damage that hair and blow those cuticles open to where their hair is just exposed to nothing but damage and breakage. But 30 and 40 volumes, now I'm used to working with that in other schools. The school I work in now, they never ever use 30 or 40, and they have their reasons for that, and the highlights come out fine from what I've witnessed. But in the salon, when would you consider using 30 or 40 volume for your highlights? Honestly, if they have color on their hair and they're wanting some lift out of that, because remember, hair color does not lift hair color. So if someone has color on their hair and it's like a dark brown and they want to be lighter as far as like a blonde, you're gonna have to use bleach. But this is where we have to determine in the consultation, is it box color or is it professional color? Because with the box color, I already told you, you can get some horrendous effects from that. Smoking, breakage, no lift. Not to say it always happens that way, but it can. So 30 volume, if their hair has color on it prior to. If their hair is thicker, the texture, the density of it, then you may consider 30 or 40 volume. And that's just to speed up the timing. So this is for someone who's already kind of quick with the highlighting. I would not suggest that for a beginner. I would suggest no higher than a 20 to give yourself time to work with those highlights and with the bleaching. So when you're mixing lightener and developer, you know that it's a catalyst, that it's releasing oxygen. And this process, when you're applying it to the hair, is happening in the cortex of the strand of the hair. So you want to understand the hair strand also when you're learning these procedures. There's 3 parts to the hair strand. That means the hair that is outside of the scalp that you visually see. There is the cuticle, which is a bunch of scales, and the scales actually cover the core of the hair. So when there's great damage to the cuticles and they're blown off, the core of the hair is exposed, and you may notice your hair is getting lighter. You don't understand why when you're outside it's just getting lighter and lighter. You know, you just colored your hair and this is happening. It's because the core of your hair is exposed. It's not protected. And I know I've done a video on this before, so I'm not going to get too in depth about it, but this is just to let you know. The cortex of the hair is where all the melanin is. So when you put lightener on and it oxidizes in there, you can think of it as if you put some type of explosive in the hair, I say dynamite. And basically your pigment is blowing away and it's coming up to the surface of the hair. And now what you will see is levels of lightening happening to the hair. A lot of people confuse this with hair color. You have to understand that you are bleaching someone's hair. You're not applying hair color. The color is coming forth up out of their hair because it's in the core of their hair. You also need to think of this too. The lighter you decide to go on your hair, the weaker your hair becomes. So you have to think of like your skin also. People who are more melanated actually have more protection, and this is a fact, to the sun. So think of your hair. The darker your hair is, the more protected it is. The lighter you go, the weaker it becomes. So this is why it's important now when you're doing these services on your client that you recommend some good products for their hair maintenance at home. Otherwise, if you let them go to the big chain retail stores to buy product, it's going to be damaging, mixed with the hard water that most of us have in our homes, unless you're paying for a soft water system. All of that affects the hair. If they're a swimmer, all these things you want to know, because their hair can turn green, their hair can get fried, it can start breaking, and guess what? It all comes back to you. Okay, guys, so I want to go over this really quick so I don't forget, and I just kind of want to break down the levels of lightness and the undertones that you will see when you're lightening the hair with bleach. And I don't know it by heart, so I'm just going to read it off to you. There are 10 levels as far as how light the hair is, starting at black. Black is at a level 1. 10 would be your lightest blonde or palest blonde. And these are the undertones that you're going to see with each color. So level 1 is black. And when you put bleach and developer on the hair, what you will see the hair lightening to is a dark red brown. The second is the darkest brown. This is a level 2. But what you'll see under the tone is a red brown. So that means what's coming forth to the surface of the hair, you'll see red brown. At a level 3, and this is to let you know also because all clients aren't at a level 1. So you need to know the levels and then what undertones you're dealing with. But I don't want to get on the subject in depth about undertones. We'll talk about that when we talk about the color wheel in another video. So level 3, if someone comes to you with a dark brown, what you'll find on the surface under the tone when the light hits the hair is a red. So if you add lightener to it, this is what you're going to see starting from a level 1 when they are going through the lifting process up to the palest blonde. And this is in your textbook for reference. Whether you're Pivot Point or Milady, you'll find this in the textbook under the hair coloring chapter. Level 4 is a medium brown. And your undertone, what you'll find is red-orange. So you'll start seeing a red-orange come to surface. Level 5 is a light brown, but the undertone for light brown is orange. Number 6 is a dark blonde. What you'll find is an orange gold. Now this is important also for you to learn when you're picking out toners. So I will be doing a video about that on how to pick out your toners, but it'll be mixed in with the color wheel, because in order to pick your toners, you have to understand the color wheel. Number 7, level 7 is gold, and you'll find medium blonde undertones. 8 is yellow gold, and you'll find a light blonde in the undertone. Yellow, level 9, and under that you'll find very light blonde. And 10 is a pale yellow, usually the palest, and it'll be the lightest, palest blonde. All right, guys, the last thing I want to talk to you about is the actual lightener / bleach. And the reason why I interchange those words really is for those of you who have not gone to state board yet, you have to know all the terms for your exam. So for example, bleach is also known as lightener. Hair color is also known as tint. So when you hear me interchange words like that, it's really for you to know all the terms possible that you can know for your test, so you won't be lost. But with lighteners, first off, I want to reiterate a million times, bleach is not hair color. I don't know if you've ever heard of OxyClean or even with like household bleach. What do those products do? They lift out stains, right? And they never ever deposit anything. So if you have a white t-shirt with a yellow stain on it or a red stain on it, and you apply these products to it, a household bleach or OxyClean, it's known for releasing those oxygen bubbles, and that stain, that color is lifted up out of that white t-shirt. You could think of hair bleach or hair lightener as the same type of thing. So when you apply it to the hair, at whatever level it is going to lift until you, the stylist, decides to stop the processing. So it will lift until there is no more hair left to lift. That's just what it does. Doesn't matter what volume developer you use. It may slow down the process, but as long as you have it on the hair, it will continue to process and process and process until you stop it. That's 1. 2, the pH of most lighteners is between 9 and 11. So as I said earlier in the video, it is an alkaline product. The peroxide developer is an acidic product, but because it releases the oxygen, that's what's speeding up the process. But it's actually bringing down the pH a little bit of the product. So it's like acid and alkaline mixing together so that it's not a true explosive on the hair. It helps to balance it out, a homeostasis, if you will. There's 2 types of lighteners. There's on the scalp, there's off the scalp. On the scalp, you could think of as being milder. It is oil-based. And to be honest with you, it may not lift as much as a person may want it to. So for those who are looking to be a real platinum blonde, you may not achieve that. I cannot guarantee that because it is a milder bleach and it is oil-based, meaning doesn't mean you should be sloppily applying it to someone's scalp, but it means that if it gets on their scalp and they have a sensitive scalp, it should not irritate them. Now, there's some people out there that are just extra sensitive, and it might, but off the scalp bleach should never be on the scalp. Now, when you're applying lightener and bleach, I think I explained this in my highlighting video when I did the foil placements for beginners. I explained that lightener does expand, or it swells, if you will. So that's why when you're doing the foils, you want to make sure the foils are as close to the scalp as you can get it, so that when you apply it on the line of the foil there, it will swell up to the root line, so you don't ever have to go over that foil and apply it on the root, because if you do that, it will expand onto hair that you don't want it on. So this is the same thing when you're not doing highlights. It expands, right? And so when you're doing a virgin bleach application, you don't want to you actually want to put it, it says, used to be 1/16 of an inch away from the root. That's a very small sliver away from the scalp, and it will swell up to the scalp. They don't specify that anymore. Usually you start in the back because hair is darker in the back. You do it a 1/2 inch away from the scalp up to the porous ends. You do that around the whole head. I have a virgin bleach application video also too. You can watch that. But you would do a strand test. Now here's the thing. Strand tests are very important. We get comfortable in our salon life and we stop doing things the way we should. And when results happen unpredictable, we can't figure out why. But this is why you always want to remember your basics, because when you step outside and you get those unpredictable results and you go back to your basics, then you can get the results that you're looking for, right? And so a lot of times, for instance, we'll apply lightener with no gloves. We've just gotten comfortable doing the highlights. I see so many social media videos without gloves, and that's a whole nother video, because we can talk about contact dermatitis, which I have acquired from doing acrylics, and it's due to repeated contact with the chemical. It almost ruined my career when I first started teaching. So that's a whole nother ball game. But let me tell you some things that can happen. When you apply off the scalp lightener onto someone's scalp, and I mean like sloppily just applying. I'm not saying it won't accidentally get on there, because you're getting it as close to the scalp as you can. So it may swell on there. But if someone's sensitive to that, now I've seen this with my own eyes. Blisters, redness, split open scalp where it burned, scabs in the scalp. And this takes quite a bit of time to heal. And there's nothing worse than a chemical burn. So be careful in your application with off the scalp and on the scalp. But just know the difference between the two. Off the scalp, oil-based, milder, won't get as much lift as you can with off the scalp. Off the scalp is stronger, should not go on the scalp, can cause burns, blisters, scabs, cuts. Last thing I want to tell you before I let you go is when you are doing a highlighting service or a virgin bleach application, you want to make sure that you rinse that product out with cool water, not cold, but cool. That means past the warm, so it's no longer warm, it's actually cool. And I mean, if you did it colder, they would shiver and it would be okay, but not comfortable. So we want it to be comfortable. This helps to stop the processing of the lightener, and also you want to use an acidic shampoo. What does that mean? For us, our pH is known to be 4.5 to 5.5. We are on the acidic side of the pH scale. So this means you do not want to use a drugstore bought shampoo that's the same pH as the lightener, 9 to 11, or even higher on the pH scale, because the product, believe it or not, will actually continue to lift. And it could lift so much so that their hair continues to break because it never stopped lifting. And this I have seen. Very important. Cool water, acidic shampoo, ranging in that it should be no stronger than a 6. So think 4.5 to at least 6, where it's acidic and it stops the processing of the lightener, and it also brings back down the pH of the hair. And I would say, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. That is all the information that I have for you guys. And I just want to thank you for hanging in there and really supporting my channel. I can't tell you enough how grateful I am. Blessings. God bless you all. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.